Good evening and welcome into Tennessee Volunteers live on the Voice of College Football Network. Tucker Harlan and Jordan Binkley with you on this Monday evening. Hope you guys are doing well and had a terrific weekend. If you're new to us here at Tennessee at the Voice of College Football, please like, share, and subscribe to Tennessee at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. Helps us out, helps you get closer to great content that you enjoy. And as you guys can see, we are not alone tonight. We have a very special guest, and I figured just in fairness to Jordan, since I brought a Brentwood High School alum on the show in Ryan Shumpert a couple weeks ago, that we should bring on a Centennial High School alum, and we did just that tonight. He is the producer of the Eric Ainge Show on 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville. You can hear him every day from 9 a.m. to noon with Eric Ainge and Brian Rice. That is Charlie Collier. Charlie, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thank you for having me. Very funny to me, too, to just see the two of you guys come together for this podcast. Just having known Jordan from high school, like playing football with him. I mean, we were going to some Tennessee games together. And then Tucker, having obviously met you post-college, through radio. It was when I first saw it pop up on my phone, I was like, wait, Tucker Harlan and Jordan Binkley. What a duo. But no, you guys have been doing a great job. I appreciate you having me on. It's very weird to see my face, or that people can see my face, rather. It's more of like a face for radio, but,
No, Charlie, you're a good-looking fella. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short.
The people want to see you, Charlie.
But, yeah, it's glad to be here.
Hey, well, I'll say I still got that photo from us senior year that we all took, the seniors. It's still hanging up at my mom's house in my room back there.
Yeah, I've actually been packing today and have taken everything off the wall for a move, or else it would also be on my wall right now. So that was a special group, You wouldn't know anything about it, Tucker, but
No, I wouldn't have. They may or may not have. Brentwood may or may not have walked you off that season, but it is what it is.
Oh, don't bring that up.
All right, so let's get straight into the Tennessee football now. We have to after that. So it's a year that is not full of expectations for Josh Heupel, I wouldn't say, just with some of the things that have developed in the offseason. But at the same time, this could be a situation, Charlie, in which the team is motivated to go out and prove something. Do you feel like that's the case with this bunch going into 2025?
Yeah, I think, now you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, and that's a place that Tennessee has operated very well in the last year, not the last couple of years, but when Josh Heupel first got to Tennessee, all the way up like 2022. I think Heupel and his coaching staff, they're good at playing the underdog card. They're good in that role. And now, I think Tennessee, quite honestly, is one of the more overlooked teams in the country right now, just on a national level, just because of, as Josh Heupel would call it, the Joey Aguilar situation. I think people are really maybe overvaluing what Nico Iamaleava would have meant to this team.
Yeah, you're spot on with that, Charlie. I completely agree. Just because we had Ryan Shumpert on a couple weeks ago to talk about this, and one of the big things that we brought up was like, is this team getting the right amount of attention, or is it not getting enough attention? And I think there are a couple of different things that we'll get into in a minute, but I think this team could surprise some people this year. And I agree too with Nico. Like, I just don't think he was all that everybody else across the country thought he was supposed to be for this team, because and I've told people this on a couple different shows, but Dylan Sampson leaving is what lowered this team's ceiling, not Nico hitting the portal in the spring.
Yeah, I was about to say, Tennessee's MO last year was running the football, and Nico, statistically, he wasn't even much better than Joe Milton. So, I feel like he has been overvalued a little bit, or like the loss of Nico, rather. I feel like Tennessee has kind of like an underdog mentality going into this season.
It's just Nico Iamaleava last year. You saw the raw talent, right? You saw what could be, And I think that's what got you excited for this season, the prospect of another year of development. It would be his third year in the program. You know, Josh Heupel's done a good job developing quarterbacks throughout his career. So you thought he could take a jump. But in terms of the production that you're going to try and replace this year, you're not asking for a lot. Nico Iamaleava last year in 6 games against FBS opponents with winning records. So 6 games compared to the rest of the country, he was 85th in quarterback rating, 88th in yards per attempt, 80th in completion percentage, and he had 5 touchdowns, just 5 in those 6 games. So, you know, I think when you're trying to replace that, you're not asking for a lot. You know, Tennessee's offense, I think really just as a whole hasn't been as productive as you'd like them to be the last couple of years. In 2022, 53 plays of 30-plus yards. Last 2 years, you've combined for just 52. So, you know, a lot of focus on the quarterback position as a whole, but I think Tennessee's offense was going to need to take a jump up in all-around production, whether it was Nico or whether it was Joey Aguilar or anybody else.
Yeah, and I know he gets a lot of criticism here, but I just think, and I don't really even think this is a hot take, that Joe Milton will be remembered more fondly by Tennessee fans than Nico here just because of everything that transpired in the spring.
Yeah, more fondly, I think, because, you know, he was a guy that it meant a lot to him to play for Tennessee, and you could tell that. But I think you are talking about probably back-to-back seasons of, you know, maybe number 1 and number 2 of the 2 least productive quarterback seasons that a Josh Heupel coached offense has ever had. So there's plenty of room to grow here, and I would expect Joey Aguilar to be more productive. Maybe not better, but more productive than either of those 2 were. And, you know, I think he might even be a better fit for some of the things that Tennessee wants to do.
Well, mentioning like Joey Aguilar, I mean, I feel like we got to address the elephant in the room. Do you think that he's the starting quarterback for this season, or?
Yeah. I mean, you can call it a quarterback competition, and maybe there will be, you know, a competition, but the fact of the matter is, George McIntyre is about 180 pounds, soaking, dripping wet, and Jake Merklinger, by all accounts, hasn't really done enough to make you think he's going to really have a chance to take that job. So if Joey Aguilar isn't starting against Syracuse, that's probably not a good thing for Tennessee.
Well, Charlie, for the record, I agree with you here. I do think he's going to be your week 1 starter. But do you think there is any truth to the fact that Merklinger overall is a better fit to the Josh Heupel offense than Joey Aguilar, just in terms of what he brings to the table?
I don't, because I mean, right now the biggest knock on Joey Aguilar is probably his turnovers.
Yeah,
but throughout Josh Heupel's career as a coach, his quarterbacks have consistently limited turnovers. I think it's reasonable to expect that Aguilar's turnover numbers take a dip as well. But you look at what he does best, and it's his ability to make quick decisions, to read a defense quickly, and he has a very quick release. I think that fits what Tennessee wants to do. In my opinion, the biggest reason that Tennessee's offense hasn't reached the levels that it was the first couple of years in the last 2 seasons is just because you haven't been able to consistently get the rhythm passing game going. Nico Iamaleava and Joe Milton both, I thought, struggled to consistently be on time to get the ball to receivers on the run, to put it in a spot where they could catch it and continue running. I mean, Nico was great at that deep over, but the short stuff, the quick stuff outside the numbers, I thought neither Joe nor Nico were really great with that. And I think Merklinger can be a really good quarterback, specifically with that short rhythm passing game. And that kind of sets everything else up, because then you can branch off of that. But if you don't establish the quick stuff, then the rest of it isn't there.
Yeah, and you were mentioning quick decision-making. I mean, I would argue that was Nico's biggest problem last season. I mean, oftentimes it looked like he'd look right, look left. He couldn't make up his mind. The pocket collapsed, and he'd have no other choice but to run up the field or try to force a pass. So, I mean, I agree with you there.
think you're looking at a quarterback in Aguilar that doesn't have the same raw talent, doesn't have the same arm talent as Nico or Joe. The physical tools aren't there, but mentally, I think he's much further ahead of than either were.
Yeah, so shifting now to who Joey Aguilar or whoever it may be, we think it's Joey Aguilar, who he's throwing the ball to. Who do you think, Charlie, emerges as the best receiver in this 2025 group?
Best receiver, gosh, you hope it's Mike Matthews. It needs to be Mike Matthews. Yeah. But I think the most productive receiver is going to be Braylon Staley. Just, more so about the position he's going to be playing. He's your slot guy, and there isn't an obvious backup guy that plays inside either. Maybe Boo Carter's getting some snaps, but I don't think, one of those freshmen or Amari Jefferson is going to spend a lot of time playing in the slot. So, that's going to be Braylon Staley more often than not. They seem to really like what they have in him, and in this offense, the slot receiver is the one that has, the most opportunity to produce. But so I look at Staley and I look at Matthews, and I think both of those guys need to be really productive for Tennessee. And then, even with Chris Brazzell, we've seen guys throughout, I guess, the last 5 years now be a lot better in their second season. And he was one of the biggest disappointments in my eyes last year. I had expectations for him through the roof after his freshman year at Tulane. And, part of it was I don't think we utilized his skill set to its greatest extent. Part of it was he needed to be a lot better. So hopefully he takes a jump too.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that about Braylon Staley with the productive element that he could bring to the table. And it's just something I kind of hinted at a couple weeks ago. I don't really want to lean into this too heavily because then it just looks like I'm creating one of those cursed graphics. But he's from South Carolina, the same place another former Tennessee wide receiver, a very productive one in the last 3 years, was from. And he would be playing a similar role, kind of that undiscovered talent in this group, kind of playing in the slot as well to start the season. And then let's just say one guy goes down, suddenly he has a breakout year. I'm not saying that will happen, but you kind of get the same vibe from him a little bit as you did Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, I think he's, ideally, if you're maximizing his skill set, you're using him in some of the same ways that you use Jalen Hyatt. I'd like to see Tennessee put more guys in motion pre-snap. I feel like that we saw a lot of that in 2022, not as much in 23 or 24. But I think Staley's a guy that you can get on the move, you can put in different spots, you can really kind of hunt matchups for him and get him in space. And yeah, you hope he's a guy that can be a playmaker that, and even is just 75% of what Jalen Hyatt was in his final season.
All right, Charlie, one thing I do want to ask you about is Tennessee's road games. You have traveled around the SEC quite a bit. Rank the 4 SEC towns Tennessee is visiting this year in order.
Okay, so the 4 towns, we got Gainesville, Tuscaloosa, Starkville, and Lexington.
Yes.
Starting with number 4, and a very, very hard 4 would be Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Really?
There are 3 towns in America that I've been to that I don't like in my entire life. Tuscaloosa, Atlanta, and Beaumont, Texas. Don't go there. It's the worst.
Never been there.
Don't. Trust me, you don't need to. It's gross. And whatever. But Tuscaloosa, I've been there 3 times now. There's nothing redeeming about the town. Oh, the barbecue's good. No, it's not. Okay, there's one cool barbecue. Justin Thomas's golf bag hangs on the wall in one of the barbecue spots, and that's the coolest thing about Tuscaloosa. The stadium, the atmosphere. Stadium looks cool. The atmosphere is not great.
I agree with you there.
I agree 100%.
I think Nick Saban kind of fostered a mentality now, the success that they had in their fan base, where they're either relieved or angry, but there's not necessarily a lot of joy. There's not the noise. There's not the same passion you get other places. A night game in South Carolina, heck, a night game in Starkville, if they don't suck, is louder than it is in Tuscaloosa. At number 3, I'll put Lexington. I'm not sure the sun's allowed to shine there. I think it's been gray every single time I've visited.
Yeah, that takes major points off.
But there's a bar there called Campus Pub that I'm a big fan of. Big fan.
Okay.
Gainesville, I'll put it 2. Gainesville's a great town, actually. I was surprised. Didn't think I would like it. Had a lot of fun there. Good food. There was a cheesesteak from a street vendor I ate after the game. That was the best cheesesteak I've ever had in my life. And what I was drinking probably didn't have anything to do with the taste there. And then Starkville, Mississippi is far and away number 1. And I know you guys are probably going to snicker at that. People watching are going to laugh. But you have an opportunity. Go to Starkville this year. Heck, take Thursday afternoon off and get down there Thursday night. Take Friday off. It is the best SEC town out there. The food is excellent. The people are nice, and it's cheap. Like it's the kind of cheap where you get your bill and you need to like read it 3 times to make sure they didn't leave 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 things off. Starkville's awesome. Great barbecue too. Go to Two Brothers when you're down there.
Yeah, I know you were on record as a Starkville enthusiast. I've still not been down there yet. And I've heard too from, I think Ben McKee says this, there's a pizza place down there that's supposed to be really good that he's a fan of.
Very good.
I would not recognize good pizza in Starkville, but I don't know. Maybe that's the case. They've got good pizza down there. Although I should shout you out, though. You did direct me to Bush's Billiard Hall in Columbia, Missouri, and it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint.
Best in the SEC.
Oh yeah, it was terrific. I mean, it is very well worth the wait because they cook it on that one little I guess grill in the corner. It's tiny.
It looks like something like your dad whips out to cook pancakes on like a Sunday morning.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the size of that thing, and it delays some of their production, but I think the burgers were very, very good.
It's like a 21 and up establishment. I had to use a fake ID just to go try the burger. I didn't even want to drink there. I heard the burger was so good. I needed it.
Nah, I had turned 21 by the time that happened, so I didn't have to use any fake IDs to get in there.
They looked at it real hard too. They questioned it, but the part that they were torn up about was the height. Yeah. He's just looking. He's like, "No way, you're 6'2", that was weird. But
no, you're definitely 6'2".
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, "There's a lot of things on here that are a lie, and that's not one of them." So I don't know what we're doing here, but yeah, Columbia and Starkville are my 2 favorite food towns in the SEC.
Well, speaking of road games, I feel like one of the gripes that some Tennessee fans have with Josh Heupel, it has been like the road games. I mean, when I was doing research a couple weeks back, I think I saw that the only time that Heupel had a winning record on the road was Hendon Hooker's last season there, which would have been like 2022. So how do you think Tennessee fares on the road this season?
It's tough. I mean, I guess the first thing when I looked at the schedule, I looked at where's the potential Josh Heupel coach team lays an egg game. And it's not going to be at home. So you do look to those 4 road games. I don't think it's going to be Alabama or Florida because those are just straight up difficult games. You don't lose to Kentucky. So, I mean, I think Starkville actually is kind of a pesky trip. I think it sits in a trap game kind of spot. They're coming off of 2 pretty easy games. They have a bye game. I think they play like Alcorn State and one other bye game. So, they'll have kind of an easy schedule moving in. And I mean, you'll be coming off of the Georgia game a couple of weeks ago. It's your last game before a bye. Kind of a tough place to play. So I think Tennessee has a pretty tough road schedule in front of them. You just got to find a way to not get beat by Mississippi State, obviously, and maybe split Florida or Alabama. But I do think, as challenging as the road schedule may be, the schedule as a whole is pretty easy for Tennessee. Something they need to be able to take advantage of. I mean, you get probably the worst 4 teams in the SEC, and then you have 4 non-conference games that you're a double-digit favorite in all of them. That should be 8-0, and then you're looking at 4 games you got to split.
All right, so that actually leads into a good segue, Charlie, and this will be the last thing. I promise. I'll let you run and watch James Wood bat in the Derby, unless he's already doing that.
He's hitting a lot of line drives right now. He needs to elevate this baseball.
Oh no,
he's spent like a week and a half practicing for the Derby and completely messed his swing up in the last week of baseball before the All-Star break. So I need him to get it
all
together.
right. Last thing, Charlie. Record prediction. Lay it on me.
Look, I think Tennessee goes 10-2. I really do. I think 10-2 back in the playoffs. That schedule is really, really manageable. I don't know. I don't know if it's stealing a win at Alabama or maybe you finally do get over the hump and beat Kirby Smart in Georgia. But for all of the focus on Tennessee's offense and what they're replacing, yes, you replaced Dylan Sampson, but you've also had a productive run game every single year. You've been a top 10 rushing team in college football every single year, whether it was a guy that's really talented like Dylan Sampson or it's a combination of like a Jabari Small and some of those other guys. So, you're not going to necessarily get Dylan Sampson-like production out of one player, but your three backs, I think, can combine and still be really productive. I don't think the run game slips. Obviously – moving on from Nico, moving on from a group of receivers that honestly I thought were pretty average. You're not needing to do a ton to get similar production from what you got a year ago from what was a playoff team. And it's a defense that, yes, you lose James Pierce, but it was a defense that was top 10 across the board, really, in a lot of different categories. They defended the run well. They created a lot of negative plays. That secondary is back and looks to be one of the better units in the country. I really like what you got up the middle with the linebacker spot. And Rodney Gardner coaching a defensive line, that's going to go well. I have complete confidence that Rodney Gardner coached defensive line is going to be plenty productive. There's still a ton of talent in that room, and that's probably the position you've recruited best really since Josh Heupel got there. So there's a ton of young talent just ready for an opportunity as well. So I think the defense will continue to operate at an elite level. The offense takes a slight jump in production overall from last year. That combined with an easy schedule, Tennessee's hopefully even hosting a playoff game this year.
All right, Charlie, that's all I got. Appreciate you jumping on with us. Is he doing well? Is he doing well? He's not.
It's going terribly, actually.
It's going very poorly.
Yeah, again, it's a new format this year because, they got to change the format as much as possible. So maybe he's not doing as bad as I think he is, but I'm pretty sure he's doing really bad.
All right.
So that's fun.
Well, you can follow him at Charlie Collier _ on X, all lowercase. Charlie, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
It's been fantastic to see both of your beautiful faces and hop on tonight. Thanks for having me. Hopefully I can join you guys again sometime.
Yeah.
Will do.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Charlie. It's great to see you again. Don't be a stranger and go Cougs, man.
Yeah. Hey, CCC, baby, courage, commitment, character.
Oh yeah. One blood, baby.
CCC.
Hey, athletic director again.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is indeed.
That's something else. Well, anyway, y'all have a fantastic night. And Binkley, the stash is looking killer. So
I appreciate it. I love the goatee, man. Keep it up.
All right. Adios, fellas.
See you, Charlie. All right. That is Charlie Collier. He's always fun, isn't he, Jordan?
Oh yeah, he hasn't changed a bit, man. He's been the same guy since I've known him at I think 14 years old, man. Only gotten funnier. Just an awesome guy.
The eternal optimist is what I call him. 10-2 is a very strong record prediction for Tennessee. If Tennessee went 10-2 this year, I would be amazed. But I'd be all for it too. That means Josh Heupel's not really having a down year after what was not a stellar spring for the program.
Yeah, I think 10-2. I would be ecstatic, man. Going back to the playoffs again. Especially with everything the media has been saying. I feel like we're closer to 8-4 than we are 10-2 for next season. But shoot, he had a couple good points there, and if Tennessee can get the ball rolling, it would be pretty cool. But it's going to be tough. Georgia, Florida, Alabama, those are going to be some tough games.
All right, so we need to talk a little bit about the future of Tennessee football, and we're already doing that, but we're uh, also in the thick of recruiting season, and Tennessee's been on a 4-a-week pace with commitments over the last 3 weeks. So if you're doing the math, that is 12 commitments in the last 3 weeks, which is huge for Tennessee. So we'll go chronologically with everybody that committed last week, starting with Javonte Smith, the 3-star athlete out of Jackson Northside in Jackson, Tennessee. Jordan, your thoughts on Javonte Smith?
I mean, like a 3-star cornerback. I mean, you're not expecting too much from him. But I mean, it's hard to say with cornerbacks, I feel like, because like, you only see their best plays on film. You're not seeing the plays where they're getting burnt or giving up passes and everything like that. But he seems like a solid player overall. Like decent size at 6 foot. I mean, if his height's true, I mean, he will need to gain some weight and everything. But I mean, he had other SEC offers and everything, and like Tennessee needs some more depth in the defensive backfield. So I mean, and I feel like that's something Tennessee's been doing really good this offseason of recruiting. I mean, getting all these offensive linemen, getting these defensive backs. It seems like Tennessee is really pushing hard to fill the gaps that they have in their roster. And I mean, I'll take as many defensive backs as we can get, to be honest.
Yeah, so looking at what he did, he plays all 3 phases of the game. They use him as a receiver, defensive back, and a punt returner as well at Jackson Northside. And honestly, and maybe this is just a comparison as the thief of joy thing coming from me, but um, it just didn't stand out the same way as like Zay Anderson or Legend Bay did on the tape. I didn't see that kind of a quickness out of him. I'm not sure if Tennessee is trying to use him as a receiver or a defensive back because he can play both positions, and many of his highlight reel plays were touchdowns. And West Tennessee, occasionally you find hidden gems outside of Memphis, and there's some pretty notable ones within the last 30 years. For example, Al Wilson, Trey Smith, Ramon Foster are some big names from that part of the world. But overall, it's just a lot of diamonds in the rough that you find out there. It's just not a place where you find a ton of great recruits outside of Memphis for the most part.
Yeah, and then even with Memphis too, I mean, Tennessee's always had to compete with Ole Miss on that front as well, which I mean is difficult because it's right there on the border. Especially like Ole Miss's like talent as of late under Lane Kiffin. I mean, love him or hate him, he is a pretty good ball coach at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see more recruits coming out of the state of Tennessee. I mean, I've seen a growth pretty significantly. I mean, since I've started keeping up with football, with Tennessee players or Tennessee high school players coming out and, making a name for themselves. Like we saw with Clemson's tight end last year, Bringing Stool and everything. There's a lot more talent coming around. I mean, even Texas A&M's quarterback, Marcel Reed, I mean, he's an NBA player. So we're starting to see more talent come out of the Tennessee area. But yeah, I mean, it's always good when you get one of your guys from your own state.
Yeah. So I believe Arkansas, Missouri, and West Virginia were the other 3 battling for him. So Tennessee, pretty clearly the best choice of those 3. I mean, maybe you can make an argument for Arkansas, but I wouldn't right now, just with, the fact that they've kind of been down for 13 or 14 years now, just since the whole motorcycle incident happened. But that was Tennessee's first commitment of the week, Javonte Smith. Up next, you had linebacker Braden Rouse, 4-star. I believe this was the same day, just later. And this one got me feeling pretty excited, I got to say. He plays 4 different positions at Cal High School. He plays receiver, tight end, linebacker, and safety. Of course, a couple of those are really hybrids of each other, but still very impressive athletically. Tri-sport athlete, plays football, plays basketball, and runs track. So you got those elements to his game that he features just from some of the other sports. And I think that's one thing that's good about some of these guys playing multiple sports is certain things translate to the others when you play them. Jordan, your initial thoughts on Braden Rouse?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty excited, to be honest. I mean, when I saw how many positions that he played, I mean, like, even if he couldn't get it done at linebacker, which I mean, I think he very well could. I mean, you could plug him into other places. I mean, he could be a good special teams player. I mean, the fact that he could even line up at safety is something to be excited about as well. And then, like, watching his highlights, I mean, he had pretty decent plays from the tight end position as well. I mean, he seems like a very athletic player. And I mean, you can tell by the offers that he have. I mean, on here it says Michigan, Texas, Alabama. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see what he can do for the Volunteers. And we've talked about it before. Tennessee has struggled at times with their linebacker play, or maybe struggles not the right term, but I mean, Tennessee hasn't had as many good linebackers as we've seen in years past. So it's pretty exciting to see another 4-star come in. I mean, and he's the number 4 linebacker in the class of 2026, according to 24/7. And, I mean, I feel like his athleticism goes a long way. And I've noticed a trend with Tennessee as of late. Like you mentioned, multi-sport athlete. I mean, seemingly, these, at least for like the past couple of the weeks, the recruits Tennessee's gotten, it's seemingly all of them have played multiple sports. Even like some of the offensive linemen have, thrown discus and things like that. So you'd love to see that from these players. And like I said, the fact that he can play multiple positions, I mean, I feel like it's got to get you excited if you're a Vols fan.
Yeah, I think that's one to really be excited about, just the fact that he can play multiple positions. And he comes in as a multi-sport athlete and has all those different skills that he's acquired from those different sports. There's a lot to look at, obviously, in the highlight reel. A lot of touchdown catches, but also a lot of nice plays on defense. If we had to just condense it down to what he does at linebacker, I would say his most impressive part of his game at linebacker would be his pass coverage. Just because I think we've said it earlier. Tennessee has had some struggles at linebacker, just, keeping up with guys in the pass game, getting beat a lot of times. I don't think that's a problem with Braden Rouse. And, he's coming from an area in Marietta, Georgia, where they're full of high school football talent. So I think he's going to be going up against some really good players in high school to get him ready for college. So I think that really stands out about his game. And I think something that even Tennessee's linebackers right now, like Arion Carter, I think back to that play against who was it, Arkansas last season, where Tennessee had him pinned in the end zone, and then Dalen Green just throws a screen pass to Jaquindon Jackson, and he runs for like 30 yards to get back the first down. I think Rouse is good about getting the proper angles and pass coverage, which is something that I do think Tennessee is even missing with this current group of linebackers.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see a linebacker that can drop back in coverage. And I mean, he notched a lot of tackles last season too. I mean, I'm reading here right now, he had 111, 15 for loss, 3.5 sacks, an interception. I mean, and when I was doing research for this, I saw that Tennessee, believe it or not, has not had a tackle or not had a defensive player with more than 80 tackles since Josh Heupel's first season in 2021. I know Tennessee was more of a high tempo or quick tempoed offense back then, and it kind of slowed down a little bit. So I'm sure the numbers are inflated just a tad, but I mean, it would be nice to get some players with some more tackles here and, to like cover the field as much as possible. And I think Rouse can be a pretty good player for Tennessee.
So that is, of course, commit number 2 of last week for Tennessee. You had Javonte Smith and Braden Rouse both committing, I believe, on Tuesday. It would have been Tuesday. So Wednesday, you had another commitment, and that was Joel Kambe, who is actually Braden Rouse's teammate. He is a 3-star safety, two-way guy. They use him as a receiver and a safety, and he's of course is a 3-star, so he's not going to stand out nearly as much. But oddly, Jordan, and I've seen other people say this too. I think his receiver highlights were actually more eye-catching than what he was doing at safety.
Well, I actually didn't get as much of a chance to watch his highlights, but I mean, that's got me excited for sure. I mean, especially with what Tennessee's planning on doing with Boo Carter this season. I mean, we might be heading into a different direction of college football, thanks to Travis Hunter. Might be seeing more players playing both ways. And I mean, like, it's pretty good when you have players that can play multiple positions, like Combe, like Rouse. It's good to see. And also, too, I mean, I think this is the third tandem of teammates that Tennessee's had, because TJ White and Albert played together at Jackson Academy. You got Gabriel Asinda and Jermaine Theodore.
Yeah.
I'm almost wondering if Josh Heupel's just trying to build a little bit of chemistry here before they even get to Tennessee.
Yeah, I think that helps out a lot by assembling teammates together, and that would I think too. Combe transferred in.
Yes.
Either Rouse or Combe transferred in to Kell this year. That's the high school they go to in Marietta. But yes, they are teammates. They'll be getting work in together. So it'll be fun to watch them play a little bit. It'll be fun to follow some of these guys, just that they happen to play for the same team. And, it makes it a little bit easier for us just to scout during high school football season, I guess, just see what Tennessee is getting with them. But that's about all I got on Joel Combe. Again, not nearly as much to go through there, but still a pretty good get for Tennessee. All right, so that is 3 of the 4. And then finally on Friday, 4-star offensive lineman J.B. Shabazz committed to Tennessee. He is an offensive tackle out of North Carolina, Winston-Salem area. I believe Kernersville is where he's from. And, of course, that is within the same neck of the woods as where both Hendon Hooker and Faison Brandon went to high school. They're out in Greensboro, so it's a little bit further away. But, still same area. Another important commitment out of North Carolina for Tennessee. Jordan, your initial thoughts on J.B. Shabazz?
I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I feel like offensive linemen, very underrated. They don't have all the spotlight on them. Not all of their stats get tracked. But I mean, I would argue that offensive line is the most important thing outside of a good starting quarterback when it comes to football. And I mean, Tennessee hasn't had the best offensive line in recent years. And I mean, and in his size too. I mean, 6'6", 315. Like, I don't know where Tennessee's finding these guys. I mean, not all of them have panned out, but seemingly, I mean, Tennessee's offensive line has been huge the past couple of years. I mean, you see a lot of 6'6", 6'7", like 330-pound people. I mean, some absolute bruisers out here. And you only imagine that he's going to get stronger. He's going to shed off some of that body fat and replace it with muscle. I'm pretty excited about him. And look in his offer list too. I mean, Tennessee's biggest competition in this recruiting trail is Ohio State, and they just won the national championship this year, and they knocked Tennessee out of the playoffs. I mean, it's pretty nice seeing another talented offensive lineman coming to Tennessee. I mean, I feel like it's a good sign of things to come.
Yeah, I was wondering if South Carolina was going to be able to get him over Tennessee, but that was not the case. Although a lot of services did have Shabazz committing to South Carolina over Tennessee, but evidently that was not the case. As far as my observations on J.B. Shabazz, I did get to watch his film earlier today. Was traveling over the weekend, so didn't have an opportunity to do that. But the big thing that stands out to me, a couple things. One, and you mentioned it, Jordan, his size. He really does stand out on tape, as you would expect some offensive linemen to. But 6'6", 315 before your senior year of high school is pretty impressive, even if you're an outside offensive lineman. playing tackle. And then other thing too is he's a finisher. He just wants to take you out of the play as much as possible. And I think obviously he's going to be going up against much bigger defensive linemen in the SEC. But North Carolina is a very, very underrated recruiting state, I think. We always talk about Georgia, Florida, Texas, California when it comes to the big football recruiting states. The thing with North Carolina is there's no SEC football there, so it's really just Tennessee and South Carolina and the SEC competing for those guys. And then obviously Clemson, with its run of success, has been able to tap into it lately. But Clemson didn't get those guys if Tennessee wasn't down for that long of a period. So that's long been an important recruiting ground. You can name all kinds of famous Tennessee players that are from North Carolina, and obviously huge for Tennessee to get another one out of North Carolina. So those are all the commitments from last week. So that, I believe, increases the number to 21 on just for the class as a whole. So you've now got 3 offensive linemen as a result of this. Of course, Gabriel Ascenda is the 5-star, also playing tackle, and then Edward Baker from up there in Maryland. Javonte Smith, what are they listing him as? He's an athlete in the class, at least according to one recruiting service. But you could obviously play him at corner as well. So you could either say 3 receivers or 2 corners with Javonte Smith committing. Linebackers, you are now up to 3, 2 of which are 4-stars. And by the way, I didn't mention this earlier with Braden Rouse, but he now makes 2 of the top 5 linebackers in this class committed to Tennessee. Of course, the other being TJ White. And that is 6 total 4-stars that William Inge has recruited since he was named linebackers coach here at Tennessee. So really impressive development from a group that was, not nearly as strong in the past, just at the beginning of the Josh Heupel era. So good on them for doing that. And with Combe, you're now up to 3 safeties in your class. Of course, KJ McLean and Luke Thompson are your 2 other safeties. So positive developments for Tennessee there in the recruiting world. And there's a potential for more down the road, potentially as early as Wednesday. Kamari Blair set his commitment date finally on Sunday. He will be committing on Wednesday. Looking like Ole Miss made a little bit of a late push there. So it's Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Tennessee going at it right now for Kamari Blair. He is, of course, from Clarksville, 4-star offensive tackle, so would be a big get for Tennessee, even though you've already got some offensive line prospects committed. As far as other guys, I don't know of many other commitment dates. There are 2 other fairly well-known developments just in the recruiting world in terms of guys narrowing down their decisions. Well, really only one, I should say. The other one happened a couple weeks ago with Joel Wyatt pushing back his commitment date. And I don't think he's between just Tennessee and Vandy anymore. I think there may be some others entering the picture. But yesterday, Darius Gray, interior offensive lineman out of Virginia, he's a 5-star, by the way, top-rated interior offensive lineman in the class, put Tennessee in his top 5 along with both the South Carolina schools, Clemson and South Carolina, and then LSU and Ohio State. So no commitment date just yet on that one, but would be a huge fish for Tennessee to get. And then, of course, still no running back in the class for Tennessee just yet. Savion Hyder has teased his commitment date, but has still yet to make any kind of official announcements on it.
Yeah, and has there been any crystal ball predictions or anything for Hyder?
I've not seen any. I know he said something a few weeks ago because On3 did one of their little interviews with Steve Wiltfong, and they're like, he's really leaning heavy toward Ohio State. And then Savion quote tweeted it and was like, I hadn't said anything. Like, quit making stuff up about me. I haven't said anything.
That's pretty funny.
One more thing on recruiting before we jump over to SEC media days to end the show. Both Faison Brandon and Tristan Keys have lost their 5th stars. Obviously, Tristan Keys is committed to LSU, but he is dabbling with some other options. Of course, he signed that big check with Adidas a few weeks ago, so it would make sense if Miami and Texas A&M were to enter the picture, and then, of course, if Tennessee moves over to Adidas, potentially Tennessee. But Faison did lose his 5th star as well, and someone mentioned this in my replies. It could be true. It may just be the fact that On3 and Rivals have merged, so they're just averaging out everything just between the services. But is this a trend that has just been going on for a while? Is it worrying at all to you, Jordan? I mean, I'm not overly worried about the fact that these guys are going to struggle now because they're 4 stars instead of 5 stars, but it just feels like every single time you see a big-time kid commit to Tennessee, just here recently, other than Gabriel Ascenda, they commit as a 5-star, and then, 8 months pass, and then the services are like, you know what, we'll take that star away from him.
Well, honestly, when I saw the news that he got dropped down to a 4-star, I mean, I wasn't surprised at all because, like you said, seemingly every time Tennessee gets a 5-star recruit, they end up dropping down. Like, I'm pretty sure Nico was the number 1 player in the nation at one point, and didn't they drop him down as well? Like, he remained as a 5-star, but they dropped him down so he wouldn't be number 1 anymore. I mean, I don't know if there's any kind of bias going on behind the scenes, but I mean, it seems like every time Tennessee gets a big time recruit, they want to knock them down a peg. And you mentioned with Tristan Keys too. I mean, he's signing the deal at Adidas. He's still keeping his recruiting open, even though he's committed to LSU. I mean, is there kind of rumblings behind the scene that he might be going to Tennessee, and that's why they dropped him down to a 4-star? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into the conspiracy theories all we want, but I was kind of surprised when I saw that today because ESPN Rivals / On3 released its top however many prospects, and I noticed they left the star out, and I was just like, really? They're already doing this? He hasn't even flipped just yet, and they're already taking the star away? That's how this works?
Well, I'll say, like, with Rivals and ESPN specifically, I feel like they've lost, or especially the ESPN too, like, I've lost credibility in years past. I mean, honestly, when I'm checking up with the recruiting and everything, I mean, I'm pretty much a 24/7 guy a lot of the time. Like, I feel like they tend to be more accurate, or maybe that I'm just saying that because they rate Tennessee players higher. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not too shocked about this. And to answer your question, because I guess I think I forgot to do so. I'm not really concerned at all about them or Brandon dropping in the ranking, because at the end of the day, I mean, it doesn't matter what you did in high school. I mean, how many of these 5-stars have we seen fizzle out and never live up to their potential? I mean, even us as like following Tennessee, I mean, we've seen it firsthand with several recruits in the past. So I mean, like, I'm not too concerned about it. It just matters what you do when you get on campus. And I mean, I think that Faison Brandon, seemingly he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. I mean, I'm not really concerned at all. I would be concerned if he decommitted from Tennessee, but I mean, the fact that he dropped to a 4-star, nah, I don't, it doesn't bother me.
All right. Well, that's all I've got on recruiting for this week. Again, we will continue to monitor everything for you guys and bring it to you when we see it. But again, keep in mind, Wednesday, I believe 6 p.m. Central Time, maybe when Kamari Blair is committing. So we will keep that updated for you when it gets to us. But do want to transition over to SEC Media Days to end the show. They are underway in one of Charlie's 3 least favorite cities, that being Atlanta, Georgia, at the College Football Hall of Fame, which if you haven't been to the College Football Hall of Fame, it is really, really cool. You should definitely go check it out sometime if you happen to be in Atlanta. Actually, this weekend, I checked off my second Sports Hall of Fame and the National Baseball Hall of Fame up there in Cooperstown, New York, which is also very well done if you happen to be in that part of the world. Not a ton going on there other than Cooperstown, but it is definitely worth checking out. But that is where they're holding SEC Media Days this year at the College Football Hall of Fame down in Atlanta. And Tennessee will go tomorrow. Of course, Josh Heupel will take the podium in a couple different sessions. And then you've got 3 players going as well, and Bryson Eason, Miles Kitzelman, and Arion Carter. And they do this based off of, guys that are good with the media, which is precisely why you didn't see James Pierce or even Nico last year at SEC Media Days, just because Nico is not an overly vocal presence, and James Pierce just wasn't a guy that, media members felt like they could talk to as much just here at Tennessee. But I think those are 3 pretty good selections. Kitzelman and Carter were 2 of the guys that spoke when the whole Nico debacle happened during the spring game. Haven't heard as much from Bryson Eason, but he is in his 6th year in the program, so you would figure this is a veteran leadership type thing from Josh Heupel, and more specifically the SIDs who select these guys to go to SEC Media Days.
Yeah, and you mentioned Miles Kitzelman. Honestly, I'm excited to hear him speak, and I wonder if he's going to give any updates to his injury. And because, I feel like he's a valuable asset to this Tennessee team next year. Especially with the new quarterback coming in. It would be nice to get him onto the field. And, he had a couple of good moments last season where he really shined. And before he even came to Tennessee, I wasn't aware of who he was. I knew that he was coming from Alabama, and of course that gets you excited when you hear a player from Alabama, especially coming to Tennessee. But I'm really fascinated to hear what he's got to say. All of them in general, but specifically Miles Kitzelman. I want an update on his injury and to see how his progress has been going.
Yeah, I would hope it's going all right. I did see a video too on the note of injuries of Jermon McCoy at a camp. Seemed to be moving around all right. So you would hope he is fully healthy. But those are 2 guys that you would hope are not on rolling delays to start the season, but it could very well be the case. We shall find out later. I don't think, at least I don't anticipate Josh Heupel saying anything crazy tomorrow. I know he's probably going to get peppered with questions about, what all went down in the spring, but at the same time, it's Josh Heupel. He's not going to go out and just lay down some bulletin board material like some of these other coaches will, and some of the ones you've seen at Tennessee here in the last 15 years. And it's just not who he is. He wants to keep the exciting stuff on the field as opposed to the press conferences. So it's obviously what you want out of your football coach. But there is a lot of excitement to be had around SEC Media Days. If you ever get an opportunity to go, you absolutely should go. I was at the one up here in Nashville a couple years ago, so it was a cool experience. And everybody that spoke today seemed to be pretty optimistic about their chances this year. It was LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt that all went today. And looking around, I think all of those teams should at the very least be bowl eligible. That includes Vanderbilt. And, 3 of those teams could potentially be competing for an SEC title, I think. They're very impressed in Austin Simmons there at Ole Miss. And that schedule, some of the tougher games are at home, so it's pretty friendly. LSU, they'll still be good. I just think that road schedule could dictate some of what happens. And then South Carolina, of course, coming off a terrific season, and you return your quarterback. So everybody seems to be pretty optimistic about what's going on this season that at least went today in SEC Media Days.
Yeah, and I actually haven't gotten a chance to check with the teams that you mentioned yet and to see what they said. But was there any bulletin board material today? Like, did Lane Kiffin say anything crazy or anything like that?
No, Lane Kiffin did not say anything crazy. I think today he was just very reflective of his time in Oxford. I think he's very thankful for everything that has happened here recently, or at least not everything that's happened, but just with the people in Oxford, just for being there for him in kind of a difficult time, because I think both his parents passed away in the last year. Obviously, we know about Monty because that was well publicized when it happened. But he mainly talked about that. No real bulletin board material from him. He did say something about Hugh Freeze and golfing, but he just said that was all in good fun, not a shot at Hugh or anything. And then Clark Lee was like full on motivational speaker in his availability, and it's kind of funny because I remember seeing him 2 years ago and just being like, this dude is mind-numbingly boring. But now he's out here. It's like we all must subscribe to the process that is required to accomplish the mission and confront the catastrophe when it occurs and power through the catastrophe. Like that, it was just full on motivational speaker, and it was far more entertaining. He almost got choked up there at the end of his availability, talking about it because it's a tough process. He's like, we had to, weed out the old mindset that we couldn't do it. We're Vanderbilt. We're not supposed to be doing this, and I'm glad that we've been able to do it. Was basically his whole message. Of course, they had Diego Pavia available for everyone to talk to today as well. But he did not really say anything of note from what I remember. They had him on the SEC network setting everything other than SEC championship or bust, which we'll see if that happens. We kind of went over their schedule when when he said everything about running Tennessee a couple weeks back, but that I think it's fine that he's confident. I'm not really too bothered by it. As long as he doesn't win any of the SEC games on the road this year, I think we'll be fine with it. The league will be fine with it.
Well, it sounds like the PR team there at Vanderbilt's been working overtime. I mean, I guess beating Alabama gives you more inspiration as a football coach. And I'm a little shocked that Diego Pavia didn't say anything after, all the comments that we've discussed before. Maybe he realized it wasn't a good idea to be poking the bear a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for media days tomorrow. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what, all the players say. I mean, I feel like you're not going to hear too much. You're not going to hear anything crazy come out of the players' mouths, or at least I hope. Because I mean, the last thing that Tennessee needs is a target on their back when they're in somewhat of a rebuild this season. But it's going to be fascinating to see what everyone has to say. And I'm sure, like we mentioned, Josh Heupel, he's probably going to get asked a ton of questions about the quarterback situation. It's going to be interesting to see how he deflects that, because we know Josh Heupel pretty well at this point, and he's not the type of guy to give answers too early. It's going to be a wait and see kind of thing. And I mean, Joey Aguilar probably is going to be the starter for the start of the season. Who knows if he remains the starter throughout the year? Who knows if we have like another Tyler Bray, Matt Sims situation? I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But, it's always interesting to hear the players' perspectives, the coaches' perspectives, and, give you a little bit of a tease for the season, which is coming up real soon, that I'm sure everyone's very excited about.
Yeah, and funnily enough, Jordan, just looking at who is supposed to go tomorrow as well, I think Tennessee might be, the most boring of the four teams that are supposed to go, which is kind of shocking given everything that developed over the course of the offseason. But just looking at who else is supposed to take the podium tomorrow, Auburn with Hugh Freeze. Things are not going well down there. They're losing recruits left and right. And he's out there playing golf, as I mentioned earlier, with what Lane Kiffin said. So that is tomorrow. Georgia and Kirby Smart, of course, it's in Georgia's backyard, the College Football Hall of Fame, and they obviously had a good season last year, but also one that just wasn't nearly as good as some of the other seasons we've seen out of Georgia football teams under Kirby Smart. So I'm sure there will be some interest there, and of course you got a new quarterback in Gunnar Stockton, so that will be of interest. And then, of course, speaking of new quarterbacks, you've got Texas, and Arch Manning coming into SEC Media Days, I would say he will probably draw the biggest crowd out of everybody there. Diego Pavia had a pretty big crowd today, but I would say Arch could possibly outdo that. Probably the biggest one I saw when I was there was the one that surrounded Brock Bowers a couple years ago, when he was, basically supposed to be one of the best tight end in the country, but the best tight end going into the draft class, easily a first round guy that year. But Arch is going tomorrow with Texas as well, so it should be a very, very fun day at SEC Media Days tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think everyone's excited to hear what Arch has to say. I mean, there's been a lot of critics out there that have, said, I forget who it was that said, I think it was Steve Spurrier. I think Steve Spurrier, I mean, the king of trash talk, always running his mouth. I'm pretty sure he said, if Arch Manning was really that good, then why didn't he start over Quinn Ewers?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I feel like, of course, we're not in the locker room or anything like that, but I feel like most people would agree that, Quinn Ewers was a guy that was just a good leader for the team that fought and, stuck around there and fought to the very end. So, I mean, in a way, is it's the right thing to do almost to let him play, even if Arch Manning was better. I mean, if they're comparable in any ways, around the same playing level, then you want to start the guy with more experience and everything like that. I don't think it necessarily means that Arch Manning wasn't a better player or a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. But, I mean, you would expect him to excel given his family legacy that he comes from. Forget forget Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. I mean, his grandfather's Archie Manning. I mean, and his dad was a solid receiver on his own too. I mean, had potential to go out there and play at Ole Miss. So I mean, he comes from a football family. You would imagine that he's more prepared than the average first year starter, and be interesting to see what he says, because I mean, I'm sure he has a lot of media training too, based on his uncles.
Yeah, he absolutely does, and far be it for me to agree with the head ball coach on anything, but I honestly might have to on the Arch Manning stuff, because I feel like the hype supersedes what he will be as a player, because they're all expecting him to be one thing, but he may just not be, and it is what it is, and you hate it for him if that's the case, but I do wonder why he didn't get more time over Ewers last year, because Ewers honestly it was very disappointing last year. I had high hopes for him after 2023, and he was battling through some injuries in 22, but he showed real upside then. But last year it just didn't feel like a great encore performance, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with that too, but I mean, Quinn Ewers, you had to love his character. I haven't heard him ever say anything bad and everything. And, I mean, him leaving to go to the NFL, I mean, I feel like spoke volumes too. I mean, because he probably should have stayed at Texas, unless they're really trying to push Arch Manning to go there or to start this season. Or, I mean, he should have transferred out. I mean, because what did he go the 6th round, 5th round, or something like that?
I want to say it may have even been the 7th. No earlier than the 6th.
Yeah, see, he kind of screwed himself in ways, especially in the world of NIL too, where would have made a lot more money staying in college, especially if he'd have transferred out. He would have made a lot more money than he will be making his first couple of years in the NFL.
All right, Jordan, do you have anything else for us tonight? Any major headlines we missed earlier in the show?
Not that I can think of. I mean, Tennessee did have some number changes and stuff, but that's just more aesthetic stuff. I do think it's pretty cool that Mike Matthews is having the number 4. You gotta love, Tillman had number 4, Stallworth had number 4. Hopefully he can be in the legacy of great Tennessee receivers that had the number 4. I mean, but outside of that, not really. But I appreciate everyone tuning in to check out the podcast and everything. And of course, we love it whenever y'all interact with us. We love it when you guys tune in every week. And you know what? If anyone that does not know about Tennessee Volunteers Live, make sure to tell your mama, your postman, anyone, your neighbor, whoever it is. You know what? Just tell them. Like, as soon as they say anything about Tennessee, be like, oh, you like Tennessee, right? Well, I got a podcast for you.
Yes.
And then you send them the link, and then, we have a conversation on here.
I know we're about to close out here, but that actually you did bring up something I wanted to mention with the numbers, because Joey Aguilar is wearing 6 this year. And I got to be honest, I don't love the number 6 on quarterbacks. I like them with most position players, but I just don't love it with that one. Because there's several quarterback numbers that I don't love, and that one in particular is one I don't like.
Yeah, and I'm even struggling to think of any. I got to be careful with this because I don't have a list off the top of my head, but I can't really think of many good quarterbacks with the number 6. I'm sure I'm missing someone big. I'm sure there was someone in the NFL at some point, but I mean, coming to my head, I can't really think of anybody with the number 6 that stood out.
I got Baker Mayfield right now, and that's about it.
Yep, Baker Mayfield.
That is the only big 6 that really sticks out to me, just in recent memory, because they're just not out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some numbers on quarterbacks that are just straight up ugly, like 19.
I hate 19 on a quarterback.
19 is awful. I think that's the worst in my
There's
opinion.
a reason Jake Bentley fell off at South Carolina his senior year. That's why.
Yeah. And then honestly, outside of Josh Allen and T. Martin, I've never been a huge fan of 17 either. I feel like 17 looks weird on quarterbacks.
See, I actually like 17. 17 is one of my favorite ones. I would say of the numbers that I like on quarterbacks, 2 is good. I'm not a 3 fan. I'm not a 1 fan either. 4, I like 4. 7, how can you hate 7? I like 8. 8's a good one. 10, 11, 12. 14's solid too, I would say. And 15 is the last one that I would say is really good. I guess 16 and 8. I don't know with 16 and 18. Peyton Manning wore those numbers, but like outside of Peyton Manning, how many great 16s and 18s can you name at quarterback?
Not any off the top of my head, but since you mentioned Peyton Manning, I actually read one of his books, it wasn't his book, but it was written about his time at Tennessee. And they mentioned in there at one point that Peyton Manning was deciding between a couple numbers because he couldn't have 18 at Tennessee. I forget who the player was at the time, but they had 18. It wasn't Dale Carter, but some player had 18, and he was like asking Cooper. He was like, I got a couple of options here with these numbers. And I think he was strongly thinking between 14 and 16. And then Cooper Manning told him, he's like, 14's a backup quarterback's number. He's like, don't pick that.
Yeah. 14, I think the only one that really comes to mind recently is Andy Dalton.
Yeah, honestly.
And then in the SEC, I'm trying to think. Justin Worley was 14. That's the last 14 at quarterback for Tennessee, I remember.
Did Connor Shaw have 14?
Connor Shaw had 14.
Yeah.
Hudson Mason also had 14. Those dudes were glorified game managers, though. Not stellar quarterbacks from what I remember. Nick Marshall was 14.
Okay, I mean,
he was a fun 14.
Brought him to the national championship.
Bo Wallace was also a 14. Decent quarterback, kind of up and down at Ole Miss. I felt like. Hate to bring up bad memories because he did kind of torch Tennessee on a few occasions, but Kyle Shermer was a 14. Let's see. And then outside of that, I guess Patrick Tolles was a 14 at Kentucky. But those are the last 14s I remember.
Yeah, and then the NFL too, I can't really think of any quarterbacks off the top of my head that have 14.
Other than Andy Dalton, I can't name you one right now.
So maybe Cooper was on to something.
Yeah, he might have been. He might have been. All right, well, that is going to do it for us tonight on Tennessee at the Voice of College Football. Tennessee Volunteers Live. Be sure to please subscribe to us, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If I can talk straight, we would appreciate it. You guys can have access to great content by doing so. We pump out videos just about every day from our shows, so be sure and check that out. For Jordan Binkley, I am Tucker Harlan. We will talk to you guys again next week.